Halito, everybody. This is CT over at the NYC Indian, and today we're going to be reviewing 90 Day Fiancé, False Starts and False Promises. Let's dive right in. So we open the scene with Hamza and Memphis. And you know what? Listen, last week I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt, but they went ahead and they smashed. The mom knows now there's tension in the house, and Memphis is trying to do damage control, and she's doing it by insisting to Hamza that he lied to his mom about what happened when they finally do have the conversation about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, let's just go ahead and cover up one lie with another lie. I mean, the trust is broken now. It's too late. You may as well just like be honest and apologize versus trying to lie about it. Because now she's just never going to trust you now. Let's just face it. So, these two, they decide to go on a walk, and then she pulls him to the side and decides to let him know, about last night, about their time together. So then she tells him in her best broken English, basically, the D was trash. And I was like, damn. But he probably had never even heard anything like that. It's like, he just doesn't seem like somebody who has very in-depth conversations when it comes down to things like that. It just, come on. What do you expect though when you get someone who has such little sexual history, comes from a conservative place where the dating culture is different, or, in some countries, dating is kind of like non-existent. You have to do a lot of research and in order to overcome certain obstacles, because her as a grown woman, a divorcee, a mother, of course she said it. That would be a deal breaker. She doesn't want to be with someone who she doesn't have a good sexual energy with, or the energy is there obviously, but the performance or lack thereof, should I say, she doesn't want to get stuck in some long-term committed relationship where she's not feeling fulfilled. So how do you get that? Where's that practice time come in when he's living at home with his mom? It just doesn't make sense. Does this look like a guy that's ready to be a step parent to two children? He's like, yeah, I know he's a grown man, but he seems more like an 18-year-old to me. He just doesn't have a lot of experience in that area. And everyone's young and has to start somewhere, but I just, where is this a good, I wish this could work for them. I think, they really do like each other, and they're a nice looking couple and everything like that, but he's not ready for something like this. Hamza, girl, you're from Michigan. You could have met a Hamza in Dearborn. Like, I don't get it. Why did you have to go all the way to Tunisia? Anyway, listen, we shall see with this couple. We shall see. And Caleb wake up together, and they're cuddling and everything, but Elena's feeling like, she wanted a little bit more than a cuddle. And she had her little subtle ways of saying, that she wanted a little bit more intimacy with him. But it seemed like in the past episode he was still kind of hesitant. So then he's telling her, like, okay, I know you feel like this, but I need more time, and blah blah blah. She's really, I think he's attracted to her face, but I think he really just can't get over the rest of her physical appearance. I have a feeling. He seems open-minded, but I don't know if he's really all the way there. So I don't want to see Elena get let down, and she really seems like she's really into him, but I don't know. He seems like he's doing too much hemming and hawing and stuff like that. Certain things can build fast, and some things build with time, I understand, but a guy his age, kind of likes to work out and stuff like that. I don't really see somebody like him waiting to develop full attraction. I feel like somebody like him, you're gonna feel that attraction immediately or not, versus like maybe if he were a girl, she may take more time to kind of develop an attraction. Because it's not just, not all men and women are the same, but typically, women can build versus men tend to be more visual and kind of know in that moment if they're attracted or not. It's usually like that, but we'll see. We'll see with them. But she does want more from him, and I don't know if he's going to really be able to give it to her. I don't know. I mean, they can still have, you know, you know, a physical intimacy, but is that going to be sustainable for a long time when he's still really just like, well, I'm not sure if all that, you know what I mean? When there's supposed to be like a passionate chemistry, like right away, right? I mean, wouldn't it be? Or maybe they just knew each other too long at this point that, sometimes with long distance relationships, you wait too long and then you finally meet and then the chemistry sizzled out because you waited too long. I don't know. I'm not sure with them, but um, then they get ready to go to the gym, and he's excited that she's willing to do all these different things, and obviously it's difficult for her, and she says she's not really into like physical like working out and stuff like that. And I wonder with her stature and everything, like what exactly she is capable of, and if she's feels comfortable with that, would that be something she would like do on a regular basis for him? Because sometimes you listen, sometimes you marry someone who likes to go skydiving, and you're dating someone, sorry, that likes to go skydiving, and you're not really into it, but you'll just kind of go along because you want to do it for that person. So I wonder how much she's willing to acquiesce, because so far she seems like she is, and he seems to notice that. So then they have to go meet her friend, and he is not feeling the friend, because she's going to go in right away, no different than Elijah, or maybe her parents would have done if they would have been there to ask, like, what's your intention? They're very protective of her. And he's like, feeling backed up against the wall because he feels like he's getting all these intense questions from other people. And he's like, oh, I haven't even had these conversations with her. Why am I going to have them with you? And he really got defensive, very much so at that point. And I thought that was kind of eye opening, like, he really doesn't like to answer these questions. And he really didn't even fully answer them anyway. It was more about, what he is going to answer and what he's not going to answer. And, and also too, you're dealing with an Eastern European culture, which can be much more direct and much more forward than American culture. We can kind of, run around the bush a little bit. So, he did not like her friend. So that's friend number two he doesn't like. So then they get into the cab, and, they go back to the hotel, and he's telling her basically, like he didn't like that they were speaking Russian and stuff like that. But I'm like, you are in a multicultural relationship. When things get heated and intense, trust me, people will go back to their native language. And, what about you learning a little bit of Russian? How about that? I mean, that's an idea. I don't know. So they get back to the room or whatever, and then it seems like, things are about to take a turn to introduce Gino to her best friend Leo, who's also her hairstylist. So she's, making little digs about his sandals and his shorts. And, Gino is definitely not winning a fashion award, okay? He's just like a simple guy from Michigan. And she's like, okay, well, I'm, basically thinking in her head, oh, I'm gonna make this guy over, right? And a lot of women do that in relationship, to kind of get the guy to dress kind of how they want, if the guy's willing. I mean, it's all in, it's good fun. But this right here, when she got to the store and he's buying, she's picking out all these different things for him, and he gets to that register, and when she said $500 something, he was like, what? He said, say what? He was like, I don't spend that money in Michigan. Why? How the hell am I going to spend that money in Panama for clothes? Especially for somebody that's not really into clothes like that. So I think, at that moment, I was like, I think Gino might be able to stand up to her a little bit. I'm, there was a little, a little hint of that last episode, but I don't know. Maybe he's gonna stand up to her. So now she's like upset, because he wouldn't buy the clothes. And, her whole thing is that oh, well, you spend this money on these other women, you take them on vacations and stuff like that. He's like, yeah, but I planned for that. And she's thinking, well, you plan to come down here. Why aren't you going to shower me like you showered those women? But the man's been laid off, he said, I think for 7 months. I mean, so you have to consider something like that. So, I'm sure she knew that of him, but probably just assuming he's a wealthy American, thinking, oh, he's just gonna come down here and I'm gonna live like a princess, for, during this vacation time. So we are about to see a few more sides of her. So I mean, the thing is that, listen, you all know how I am. I'm a free thinker. If two people are grown adults of age, sound mind, listen, people can have their own arrangements, but it didn't seem like this is a financial arrangement. If you want someone strictly from a financial arrangement perspective, then you need to say that, and then you guys work that out if both people agree, and then you go on and you make whatever stipulations to whatever. But he's like genuinely in it for love and thinking that she's not in it for money, but now he's like, well, oh, maybe she's in it for money now. Like, come on, guy, you should have been thinking about this from the beginning. I don't understand. You just, I mean, her behavior up to this point, the controlling nature, this is like, it's a storm brewing with this woman. Oof, I don't know. I think Gino's got, and I think he's definitely gotten in over it. They wake up to, well, what was for him a blissful morning. He had a good night, and Jimena was like, yeah, I don't know, normal, normal, like, like nothing to write home about. And then her little boy comes in and greets him in the morning in bed, and I was like, okay, so it just seemed a little early for that, I think. I mean, that's a really, that situation is just, I don't know, that's kind of tough. So they decide, or Jimena decides to take him out, for like to see not the countryside, but just to kind of see the city and stuff. So next thing you know, the whole family, the whole Brady Bunch, everybody gets in the van, and then they go over to this, it looked like a hot springs or something like that. And he said it was in the rainforest, and it looked really beautiful. And, Jimena's being very affectionate with him. She seems very genuinely happy that he's there, but Jimena's trying to, listen, Jimena's trying to improve her station in life. Okay, let's be very clear about that. I mean, I'm not mad at it, but like I said, as long as you are clear about these things, and I don't, she seems like she just kind of willing to go with the flow because he is a nice guy, and which is, I mean, it's not the same as like someone who's going in and using someone. She's willing to give him the love and stuff like that, but how long can that last if you're not really into the person, right? I mean, how long can that last? Unless, like I said, you have that arrangement and then everybody's on board and everybody agrees, okay, this is the role I'm going to play, this is the role you're going to play, and we know the rules or whatever. That doesn't quite seem to be the case. You can see his heart, he's, right? He's like, he seems like a nice guy who's really about to go, or he's already dove in pretty deep with how he feels for her. So then when they're sitting down together, well, first it's her and her family member. I don't know if that was her sister or whatever that she, they're talking about. She says, well, did you tell him? Did you tell him you can't have babies yet? And she's like, no, I didn't tell him. So then she pulls him to the side, and then she drops the bomb on him. And he's like, you could see like he's trying not to show up, but he seems like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? You can see he, like, on his face, he does not want to lose this girl, but at the same time, he's really worried, like, I want to start my own family, but I'm already invested in her, already like her family and stuff like that. So I think this is just a mess. I mean, when you're in long distance relationships, I mean, I understand what she was saying when she said, well, she didn't want to just like kind of basically tell them her whole life story. But if you know somebody, again, we're talking about passports getting stamped, okay, and you're not paying for any of this, okay, that's the other person paying. You need to be upfront about the things that can affect the future. You don't have to give a person your entire biography, right, from starting from second grade or something, but you need to be at least, come on. I mean, I feel like not being able to have a child is a huge thing for someone that you're dating who has expressed that they want to have kids. I mean, isn't like the very first time they say that, don't you say, well, hey, actually, X, Y, and Z, you can give them a reason or not reason, whatever, but at least give the person the option. It's not fair to have someone fall in love with you and tell and drop a bomb like that. That's like, it's like saying, oh yeah, I love you, we've been together for all these years, but really, I never really quite got that divorce, finalized or something like that. You gotta, you have to say something, but well, still, that's bad too. But her situation sounds like it's irreversible. So, yeah, she could get reevaluated, but it doesn't sound like they were just tied. I mean, it's, the way she describes it seems like she would never be able to carry a child. And that's a huge thing. Why didn't you say something before he came over? I just don't understand that. Come on, guys. With his little boy Stoney, who's super cute, and they're together fishing, and he's telling him about how, hey, Papa's going to be going to see Ella in Idaho in America. And then they pan over to the next scene, which is Johnny's parents in the kitchen, and they're cooking together. And his parents express concern about him going overseas and, being with Ella. Why couldn't they find, why couldn't he have found a good Chinese girl or something along those lines? And he starts to explain that due to China's one-child policy and him being a single father, it's hard to find somebody who wants to take on a guy who already has a child. And I can imagine that that must be difficult. And I've definitely heard of certain regions in China where the gender ratio is like so out of balance that a lot of guys will go other places, even overseas, to try or will look for mates overseas because it's just so hard to find someone. Imagine being a single father as well. But what I thought was interesting is that he was like in the kitchen, he said to his parents, so what's one of the reasons that I divorced? And he was like, part of it was because of basically your meddling. And he was kind of straight up about that. So he's like, going forward, I'm having another wife. He probably wants them to be a little bit less involved. And, I guess that's hard too, because I mean, again, one child policy, he's their only child, so everything, all their eggs are into one basket, which is him. They really rely on him. So is Ella going to be able to understand that? Because we have nothing like that in the United States. That is a very different cultural practice. It's a different result that we're seeing now with population imbalances and things like that as a result of certain policies. And certain obligations that you may have in your family, being a particular gender child, and in certain cultures, the male child has certain responsibilities, or the female, whatever, and these can be very, very um I don't know, like things that people are not, I mean, very strong cultural practices, meaning, immigrating to another country doesn't mean you're going to stop doing X, Y, and Z, perhaps, because that's just always how, the culture you grew up in, that's just like a normal thing. And these are certain roles that you play. And being in Idaho, and I don't know how well traveled she is. And she didn't mention anything about having a boyfriend before, from a Chinese background. So I don't know if she really knows like some of this stuff. If not, I hope she is getting a lesson, because it can be quite a culture shock, when your parents are kind of running, or kind of, or it can see like your parents are in charge when it comes to certain things, even though he said that he was not going to allow them to meddle, but certain responsibilities and things like that are still going to fall on him. Maybe even more so because he's away and he feels more of a pressure that he can't fail now, even though he's going to be in a completely foreign place when he moves to Idaho. So, oh God. Before I move on, I actually want to stay on Memphis and Hamsa just for a minute here, because Hamza's mom wanted to basically, she wasn't happy. She was still upset about the violation of her trust basically in the home. And she wanted to talk to Memphis to kind of get an idea of like what her previous relationships were like, because of course she's fearing that, you know, this woman from a whole other place and culture and stuff like that may not be able to have a good life, or you know, will wind up you know, which will eventually end up in a divorce, which she, you know, she fears for her son. And she was under the impression that Memphis was married twice, but Memphis says, no, I have two children. And one of those one of those children's fathers I was married to, and the other I wasn't. So now her mom's is like, wait a minute. So, you know, you have these kids, and, you know, one you're married to, one you're not married to. She kind of felt like, you know, that Memphis had too much of a history, you know, with men. And Memphis was like, don't judge my past. You should know better. You're divorced yourself. And right there in that moment, I think it was like, okay, it already went downhill completely with them two sleeping together. But I think like her mom is just like not feeling it. It's just something else that she could use against her, because in her culture, you know, that's not so common, I would imagine, right? And, you know, people get judged quite harshly if they are even just something as divorce, like she is, let alone divorce and have another child out of wedlock. So I just think that what could have been a good relationship, let's say if they hadn't had sex under her roof, maybe, just maybe, if she had sat down and had this conversation, maybe her mom would have been a little bit more willing and open to not passing judgment about her relationship history. But you violated the trust, so now, like, that's it, you're dead to her, right? I mean, she's not feeling her. And I think it's kind of a shame, because, you know, first of all, these two should have gotten to know each other better to begin with. And secondly, I mean, Hamza looks like he's got a little lying problem, right? Like, he hasn't been honest about a couple of things. So oh, that's a mess. That is just nothing but a mess. Okay, Jasmine and Gino. Oh, okay, here we go. So they finally meet up. All right. And Jasmine is so excited to introduce Leo to Gino and stuff like that. And Gino asked Leo a very good question. He says, how does she act like when she's mad? And then he's like, oh, because at first, you know, Leo's like, oh, she's wonderful. She's a perfect woman. She's great. She's amazing. Like, I mean, the superlatives. He was like, he could have been her campaign manager. He did a very good job. But then when he was asked that question, maybe he was like, oh, I don't know. I can't lie. And then when he tells Gino about her temper, and then she chimes in and says, oh yeah, when his assistant was doing my hair and she was burning me, I grabbed her by the hair and started shaking her. I thought I was gonna kill her. I said, what? Oh, okay, listen, I've worked in a hair salon before, okay? I've never seen anything like that in my life. I said, this woman is crazy. This lady is crazy. Gino, blink twice. You know, if you need help, like, do we need to get, you know, the Red Cross involved and get you back in the state? Like, oh my God, you need to leave like yesterday. Red flags. Her best friend is telling you this. You've seen her behavior. And Gino, you're you're an odd guy, okay? You're definitely an odd man, but you definitely seem like you have basic intelligence. Basic, all right? Now, if you really would have been using your noggin, you would have seen these red flags and not have gone down there. But even, listen, we can all sit here and say stuff, but even the smartest people, the most intelligent people can really suspend their basic common sense and even critical thinking when it comes to love. Because, I mean, look at Hamza and Memphis. I mean, again, Memphis, she's a nurse practitioner. I mean, let me just say that again for the people in the back. A nurse practitioner, do you know how much training and how much education and student loans and how many years and how much testing it takes to become a nurse practitioner? But we don't see any of that intelligence applied when making some certain decisions about dating someone outside of the country when you already have children. You have to be careful who you bring around your kids. Hamza seems like he's a nice enough guy. I don't think he's dangerous or anything like that. But I mean, but you still don't know. And that there's a certain period of time that that takes before getting to know a person before you bring them in front of your kids. I mean, for Jimena too. I mean, guys, we have to just be more careful. I know when you're looking for love, you just sometimes you put on those blinders, but it does not serve you. You can find yourself in a very terrible situation, you know, especially if you wind up with a a custody situation, you know, an international custody situation after you have children and things like that. You have to be more careful. It even seems like, I don't know, Leo's even a little bit scared for Gino. But, you know, Jasmine's like, "Oh no, I'm a little bunny," you know, like she's so harmless in all of this. And you know, you can see Gino's radar went up, and she starts saying in Spanish to Leo, like, you know, like, see, he just says yes to everything. You know, he's just that's I prayed to God to give me a man like him, and I got one just like just like what I wanted, someone obedient. And I'm like, obedient. Listen, whether this is coming from the male side or from the female side, if you are looking for someone to just be your pet, to be your dog, then just go ahead and go to the shelter and get one. Why do you need to do this to a human being? To be obedient? What? What the hell is wrong with you? Like, you really said that on national television? I don't know. Maybe this couple is. Do you think this is like one of those couples for production or something like that? This because this almost seems like. But I'm not gonna say there aren't people out there that are crazy that think like that and say stuff like that because it's true. But I am starting to wonder if are they like a real couple? Is that for real? I don't know. Gino would be too good of an actor. I have family in Michigan. Gino is not, you know, that rare in Michigan. But is this for real? To be obedient? Like, oh my God, Jasmine, like, what's going on with you, girl? Just again, like I said, that's another one. Just go on one of those what's it called? Those sugar websites where, you know, you can be like, look, I want you to make this much and I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, and then you just have an arrangement. And then forget it. That way nobody's getting their feelings hurt and all, because this is too much. Come on, obedient? Oh man, that turned me right off. I was like, either she is totally completely lost her mind or this is not real. I don't know. It's got. So Ella's trying to prepare for Johnny's arrival, and she's doing so by going to the gym. She wants to lose 10 to 20 pounds because apparently someone who she was dating before, who she had given full access to pictures of her full body, so they could see her full size, once they saw her in person, rejected her because she looked bigger in person, or she was actually bigger in person than what her pictures projected. So she's really afraid of that, and she's deciding to work out. Now, I mean, I think it's a good idea that she's hitting the gym. I think it's a good idea that she wants to work on herself, but I think it needs to be for her if that's what she's going to do and not for a man, because, you know, weight can fluctuate and stuff like that. I mean, is a person still going to love you? So you know, it's good, but it's just the reasoning behind it. I'm not on board with that whatsoever. So when she's in the gym, she gets a phone call, or she gets a sudden text, and she finds out that Johnny was denied for his visa to go to Singapore. So I guess he's gonna have to reapply, and she's completely devastated. She's heartbroken. So we have to see what's gonna happen with that. Do you guys think his visa is going to get approved? I mean, I don't know how it works in Singapore. I don't know what the reapplication process is like, or, you know, or exactly what month this was filmed in, depending on where they were with their COVID rates and stuff like that too. So you guys let me know in the comments below if you think that this is going to delay, or are we going to see him within the next, I don't know, 2-3 episodes arrive to Idaho, or do you guys think that he's going to get stuck over there? Let me know in the So now we're back over at Hamza's, and Hamza's mother is showing Memphis how to clean a fish. So she's first showing her how to descale it, and then when they got to the gutting part, I mean, she was just like so like grossed out and stuff like that. And I'm like, when you go through your clinical rotations as a nurse, even as it doesn't matter what level, even if you're just, if you're ASN, you have your Associates of Nursing degree, or BSN, or uh, what are they called? Before you get to a nurse practitioner, I can't remember. But anyway, all those different levels of nursing involve some pretty gross work in the hospitals, in your clinical rotations. Like, I was surprised that she was acting like that over a fish. Um, I mean, clinicals can be brutal. So anyway, his mom's like, oh my God, she's acting like this over a fish. Like, how is she gonna feed my son? And then that brought me to the point where I thought, okay, feed your son. All right. She's thinking, I think Hamza's mom is looking at Memphis as, okay, this is a single mom with two kids, and she's been married before, so she kind of knows how to run a household and take care of a family. But and that is partially true. However, I don't think his mom understands what kind of job she has, and what kind of what you have to go through, all that type of schooling and stuff like that. I mean, I wonder how Hamza explained to his mom what she does, and like, does she quite get, because nurse practitioners are not something that they have in every country. I mean, it is kind of a unique thing here in the United States, but I mean, that's not, in a lot of countries you just have a nurse and a doctor versus a nurse practitioner, which is like the closest thing you can get to a doctor, even more so than like a physician's assistant, I don't know, but it's very comparable. So I I I mean, I think she's thinking that maybe Hamza will get to the States and have like kind of a household that would reflect one of a typical household in Tunisia, but she's gonna be the breadwinner. Are you kidding me? Like, he's not gonna be able to work for a little while probably, and she makes a lot of money. She doesn't. I mean, she doesn't seem like she. Or okay, I can't say for right at this point, but she might not know how to cook. The girl came up in the foster care system. She didn't have a regular upbringing, so she might not even know how to cook. She might be like a lot of parents who are not nurse practitioners and get their kids fast food. I don't know what the kids eat. Maybe she does cook, but it I really think that if it's like a typical American nurse, they're busy, they work long hours. I mean, a lot of the parents will provide meals for their kids, but sometimes they don't have time to cook, especially if they're coming from single parent households. And she has two children, not one, she has two. So I don't know what Hamza's mom's idea is for what kind of life they're going to have together as husband and wife here in the States, but I think it's going to be vastly different than what she may have in mind. And I can imagine the first trip to the States when she realizes, like, oh my God, this is how you guys live, which is like totally different than the way that she raised him. So I am, oh gosh, I am so like, if I could just be a fly on the wall in that relationship, I am so fascinated with those two. All right, let's see who we got. Our last scene ends with Caleb and Elena. They are in a cab, they go back to the hotel, and it looks like it's finally about to go down. Okay, he takes off her little shoes, he takes her in his arms and does one big swoop and just like swifts her up by the pillow. Oh my God, the look on her face, that really looked like somebody that was like, yeah, it's about to happen. So hey, good for Alina. That's what she wanted. Is it gonna be more than that? I don't really know about all that. What do you guys think? Leave your comments below and let me know. Do you guys think that this is gonna be a long-term relationship? Do you guys think that maybe we just need more time to see them? I mean, those initial reactions and initial meetings, the way that they react to one another, though, that usually stays with me in spite of different progressions throughout the relationship, sometimes I just can't forget like how a couple first met, like that initial reaction, and when you see that spark and that chemistry. So like I said, if you guys think I'm wrong, let me know below. I want to hear from you all. So until next week, stay safe, everybody.